Hello, good evening. Hello, Julia. How are you?
Hi Laura, thank you. I'm fine and I'm very thankful that you invited me. Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad to be here.
Thank you for saying yes. It is Tuesday, the 7th of July, and here in Germany, it's a little bit after 7:30 in the evening. And with us, we have our 25th story in the series. And lucky number 25 is Julia. Julia, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for the lucky number. Yes, I'm Julia Fedotova. I live in Russia and I'm Russian. Here in Moscow, it's around 8:30 in the evening now. And I wanted to start with presenting myself and talking about my name. So you call me Julia, that's completely right. But sometimes I go by Julia when I'm in Russia. It's my real name here, Julia. And as I was born in Moscow, but when I was a kid, we moved with my family. My father was a journalist, and we moved to Malta. And in school, they called me Julia or even sometimes Juliana. I love Juliana, but that's not. It's so good. And it's very romantic and it's very untypical for Russian. But nobody calls me here Juliana because it's like a fake name. So I go by all those three names. But I'm a journalist also, and when I write my articles, I sign as Julia Fedotova. So we'll use that name. And talking about my profession, I work for um, Russia's magazines, quite famous and one of the oldest magazine, and for a famous independent newspaper. So I'm a journalist who writes in print still, but also online. And I cover social and cultural affairs
Wow.
and something like from oil trade to international affairs to businesses and some economies and something like that, but also uh, cultural stuff and lifestyle.
So
So
quite
quite
a
quite
big
vast.
range.
Yes, yes, I can talk about lots of stuff. Yes, no problem. And as I mentioned, I come from a family of journalists, but please see no nepotism in that. I became a journalist because it was my dream, and it's more of the way you're being raised. When your father is a journalist, your mother is a journalist, your grandfather is a journalist, and this like every morning and evening you have meals with your family and you talk about news and you're discussing everything. So it was the only right way for me. And when I think in high school, I was pretty sure that I have to be a journalist.
So you
So
knew what you
the
wanted.
job, really, always, yes. And I think I'm fourth or fifth generation of journalists, but my brother is an
Wow.
IT specialist actually. So he's the one who broke the
He's
tradition.
the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, but we're fine with that.
But we still like you.
Yes. Yeah,
The
sure.
for my mom also is a journalist. She's retired now. She hasn't been working for a long time, but she was a journalist, and yeah, she loved it. But I, unlike you, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I wanted to do too many things. I think that's the problem. But journalism, I think nowadays is something that we need. We need good journalism. So
It's
it's
important. It's
it's
very important.
important.
Yes.
It's important. It's important to communicate, and especially now, right? You
Yes.
already told us a little bit of the things that you write in press, but also online, and also the wide range of topics that you have covered and you cover. But how has it changed with the pandemic? So, were you writing different things or doing different things before COVID-19, and now it's different? Did you have to reinvent yourself, or it's business as usual?
Laura, I have to admit that I faced some changes. I didn't have to reinvent myself, so I'm still a journalist who writes, and I have a couple of jobs, freelance jobs and official jobs. But there was a very important project, and I've been with one famous Russian newspaper for nearly a year. And then when the outbreak came, I was doing I was doing an article actually, and my editor wrote me. I got an email from him, and he said that I'm sorry, but right now the situation is very uncertain. So we're not sure anymore that we want to expand, because their goal was to build a um, very strong network of journalists. And he said that we're not going to expand anymore. We have to feed those people that we have actually because we're not even working in the office anymore, and we are facing those problems. So I'm sorry, I think that we will have to postpone all the projects, and we will talk later. And that well, I was disappointed, I understand, of course. And in comparison to those people who lost their jobs, the only jobs that were feeding them and their families and their dependents, it's nothing. And I'm very sorry that I talk about that. But still, it happened with me. And I hope that Russian media business is going to be fine after the pandemic, because it's not really good now. The figures, the numbers are not really good, and they're struggling. A lot of newspapers, a lot of non-governmental uh, radio and different media outlets, they are fine if they have money from the government, I
The
think.
government. And this is
But yeah,
it's not only happening in Russia, right? It's something that's unfortunately happening everywhere. Another thing that the pandemic has had an impact on, right? Um, just a little side comment. It is your story, so there's nothing to be sorry about. We all have different stories, and yes, uh, your experience of having this disappointment, right? That they tell you, unfortunately, we have to stop here because we're not expanding. It's your story, so it's your disappointment. And yes, there's people that have different experiences, worst experiences, but then there's also better. So we're not comparing here. This is Julia's
thank you.
story and Russia's story.
Thank
So
you. Thank you for your support. Thanks. Yes, because, well, yes, I was a bit disappointed because I was working for a year, to get there, and then it had to stop. But no problem, it's okay.
it's okay. It's
Okay.
okay. It wasn't okay, and it's okay. It's also okay that it's not okay. That's one thing that it is. It's one thing that we need to, in general, be admit it, and especially now with the pandemic. There's so many things all the time that just come from everywhere, and it's okay to not be okay, basically. So the pandemic. Um, I'd like to know more about what is happening right now in the present in Russia. So, what is it that people are talking about? What is it that's on the news? What's happening right now in your country, especially because by coincidence that we're speaking today, the 7th of July, it was very recent that India surpassed Russia with the numbers of cases, right? Russia has been the third one in the world. Of course, we have the United States, we know, with over 3 million right now. We have Brazil, we know, with over 1.6 million. And now it is now no longer Russia, it is India. Is this a topic that you're speaking about in Russia, that people are talking about? And what else are they talking about?
Surprisingly, that's a great question, actually. And surprisingly, uh, yes, I think I have news for you. And the thing is that no one is talking about coronavirus anymore for like a week. So something happened. Actually, I know the trigger. It might be the trigger, but perhaps not. We'll discuss it a bit later. I'll tell you about that. We'll talk about that. But it's like it never happened. You know, if you go to a park, you go shopping, you go everywhere, and people, they don't wear masks anymore. They're very relaxed, and they're not discussing that there even was a problem. I mean, they don't see it now. They're very relaxed, and all the laws are relaxed now. So we have no quarantine, nothing like that. Even the social distance, if you go to any sport club or supermarket, well, I think on the doors you can see the sign like 1.5 meters, something like that. It's just like 1.5 and the red circle. You know, that's it. No explanation, nothing. And a lot of people there just ignore it. So we came it's like from from hell to well, I can say, you know. So like a month or 2 months before, earlier, we were scared, and people, they didn't know what was going on, actually, because they were turning for some and waiting for some advice from the government. But the government, it was, well, we were surprised by the government, because our president, he was postponing some decisions,
Mhm.
and our mayor, he was more proactive. And that's not the way that things are done in Russia and in Russian politics, you know. So, and people, they wanted to trust the official information, so they were seeking that information, and they were not sure. And there were some brave people, well, perhaps not brave, but those people who were ignoring,
Mhm.
yeah, I wouldn't call them braves. Those people who were ignoring the situation in the world, and they were saying, it will pass, it's just a flu, nothing more. And those people who got scared and who got very protective of their families and people who they love, and they said, yes, we have to stay at home, we have to wear masks, we have to use the sanitizers. So the society, Russian people, Russian citizens were divided. I can say it's like 50-50. It was like that. And then a week ago, there was this vote that we had, the voting. We had to vote for the new constitution.
Yeah.
Um, and the statistics, actually, I have the statistics here I wanted to show you. Um, it was declining. So the graph, you see,
Yeah.
it's looking good. So it's declining. And then people, they said, okay, perhaps it was nothing. It was just a flu, and we don't care about it anymore. We're not going to live in with this
Here.
fear anymore. So it's fine. Yeah, no fear, no more fear. We're tired. And even, you know, I'm talking to people, and as a journalist, I'm asking everybody, and I'm trying to know their opinions. And lots of people say, first of all, well, we have to work, so we can't do it anymore. You know, we need money, we need to feed, we need to have food on the table. So we don't care if there is a virus or not. And then there is the second opinion that they say, I'm just tired, I cannot do it anymore, I'm psychologically tired, I don't want to be afraid. And then those people say, the third group that says, it was never a real thing. So there are a lot of people who call them COVID dissidents. It means those people who refuse to admit that COVID was something serious, and still is, and still
Yes,
happening.
exactly. I mean, I think calling them COVID dissident is the diplomatic way of calling of what the rest of the world calls them, which is hashtag COVID idiots. That's what we see on social media. It's COVID idiots, because by not caring, by not understanding, by really not wanting to know, some people's actions hurt their community, hurt their cities, hurt their country, right? But your other categories,
Freezing.
they're not. Sorry, what? Uh, Is it? Can you
It's
see me?
good. All's
Yeah.
good.
Your
I
other
agree.
categories, we have them everywhere, unfortunately. So it's not only Russia, they really are everywhere. You have those that never believe, those that think it's safe. I mean, even here in Germany, I think you froze again. Am I still frozen or is it okay?
It's good now.
Good
Now
now.
it's okay.
It's the Zoom
It's
problems
just
of the pandemic, right? Um, in Germany, as you know, things have been relatively good in Germany, and our numbers, maybe we have a spike or two, but in general, it's quite good. And in the last few days, one of the big debates is a lot of people don't want to wear masks anymore when they go to a supermarket. They don't want to social distance anymore. They say, you know, it's fine, everything's okay, yeah, let's just go back to normal life. Fortunately, we have Chancellor Merkel and we have our health minister that say, I'm sorry, there's no back to normal right now. We need to continue social distancing. We need to continue wearing the masks when you go to a store, when you go to a supermarket, because even though things are good right now, they're okay, the virus is still here and there's still outbreaks. Germany still has a little outbreak here, a little outbreak there. But the reason it doesn't get bigger, it's because something is done about it, right? And so it's not only Russia, it's Germany
I
and
understand, but I think that those proportions, that we have in Russia,
they're
it's like
big.
99%. Everybody, just everyone, they're saying, no, no, we have to enjoy summer. It's so short in Russia, in Moscow, it's just like 3-4 months. Come on. And you know what they say? Oh, perhaps we'll be quarantined again. So we have to enjoy all the barbecues and talking to each other, hugging and kissing. We have to enjoy it now because perhaps, we will spend some months home
But
then
that
later. And
hurts.
they don't question themselves why. Because of those hugs and kisses that you are doing right now.
Exactly, because we need to always remember, and the problem is communication, the problem is education, understanding. There's still too many countries, too many places that are missing that. There's too, like you're saying, there's too many people that don't understand that whatever I do today will have a consequence in 14 days. So
That's
enjoy the summer because there's going to be a quarantine in a few months. There's going to be a quarantine because you're enjoying the summer.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Exactly. They don't get it. No. Let me tell you one small story. At the beginning of the outbreak, I was on the business trip in Saudi Arabia, and I was writing an article there. And when I actually there, I felt a bit feverish. It was January 30th, something like that. And I felt not good. I felt feverish. I'm not sure, was it coronavirus because we had no tests that time, or it's just pneumonia, but it was diagnosed like viral pneumonia. So it could have been. And I was flying back home. I finished my business trip and I was able to write an article, but I was feeling not really good, very weak, like sitting on a plane like that. And there was this guy, he was just beside me sitting, and he was coughing and sneezing all the time. Like, and I heard those news by that time from China. I'm not sure that Italy started, but I had all my protective gear on me because I'm like those Vietnam people from China, from Vietnam, those Asian people. I was always the same. It was a bit freakish for a Russian, and they like I didn't look like a normal person in the airport that time, and 1 year ago, 2 years ago. Yeah, I was wearing a mask actually, and entering the plane I was having gloves, wearing gloves and having sanitizers. Just, it's not that I was sick, just to protect myself and other people.
And
And
even before, right?
yeah,
Planes,
right.
germs. So, yeah. understand.
Because I was sick so many times after I came somewhere with the plane. I took the plane, I was sick so much. And there was this guy, and I was feeling so weak and bad, and I just I wanted to get home, and he was coughing and coughing and coughing, and then I just caught myself that I had this. I was irritated, yes, but I had this thought. It came just for the first time. Shouldn't he stay at home if he's sick? And then yeah, and now I think that the world is going to change. And I was hoping actually, and I'm surprised that I don't see sick people in Russia walking on the street now. And I hope that will be the part that won't come to normal. This only part I want to keep it there in the quarantine, in the pandemic, in all those things that we left in the spring and before, like in winter, because I know that I can sound harsh, but leaving thousands of corpses behind us, it's not good. It's horrible. The world is very global now, so we have to care for each other. I hope there will be a lesson still
For
for
sure.
those Russian people who enjoy the summer, no problem, but still it's very important now to care about each other. And then when I came back from this business trip, I had to go to visit the manicure salon, and I made a call and I said, I'm not sure, I think I'm a bit sick, and I think the pandemic is starting. It was early February, and the lady uh, she wasn't happy, with my call, and she responded like that. She said, we have a line here. It is not okay. Yeah, I mean, you're not, even if you want to sit at home and do nothing, you need your nails done. Come on, just please come, okay? And I felt so freakish. And even when I said, I told my friends that, I think I'll go for some self-isolation and maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Can we postpone all the meetings and birthdays and restaurants? And I'm so sorry. And they said, wow, what's wrong with you?
But
So it's difficult. Here in Russia, people are considered to be brave. It's very important to show that you don't care. I think that's the problem. I hope this is going to change also. It's not weakness to care about somebody.
no, not at all. And sometimes it's not good to be brave because the definition of brave is distorted, and then the good things of brave are gone. Because someone that is brave is someone that does good for the community. Someone that is brave is someone that does an action that improves the life of his family, of his city, of whoever. I mean, look at wars, right? Who is the brave soldier? It's the soldier that went against 100 people and saved his platoon, right? It's the soldier that saved his partner. Or brave, the definition of brave is always someone that thinks of other people. And now you compared it saying Russian people think of being brave, right? That's something that needs to be done. And now there's a little bit of confusion saying, no, if you care about the virus, if you care about this, that's weak. You're strong and you're brave and nothing's going to happen. Unfortunately, again, Russia's not the only one. You also have Brazil. Not everybody, but you have, for instance, President Bolsonaro. He has made comments that this is just a flu, that we need to be brave, this is something normal. And Brazil is suffering so much, so much. You spoke about the thousands of deaths that you leave, right? That the pandemic leaves. And Russia has a little bit over 10,000. Brazil
Yes.
has 66,000. And the world is over 500,000. And this is only the beginning of the pandemic. The World Health Organization and other organizations in the world have said that although some countries are doing relatively well, in general, the pandemic is accelerating. So this is only the beginning. And President Bolsonaro tested positive today. So he has COVID-19. He has the virus. He was infected. And this can happen if you're brave or not brave, but there's less of a risk if you do the things that you were doing back in January, thinking of others, thinking of yourself to protect the others, thinking, let me wear a mask, let me social distance, let me wash my hands. But people that are thinking, let me party today so I'm okay in 2 weeks at home.
But Laura, if you were in Moscow right now, you could see the beautiful city, very calm, you know, nothing is happening here. And this can be quite convincing. That's the problem. So even I sometimes now I think perhaps I've overreacted. Perhaps I kept my family. No, I don't think so.
No, you are realistic, because unfortunately this is how it is, and it's not going to end until it ends everywhere, and it's not going to end everywhere until everyone does their bit. And as you know, some countries, some people are more fortunate, more privileged than others. So when we say, hey, Julia, please social distance, please wash your hands, please work from home, you can do it. I can do it. But you have places in Brazil, you have places in India, you have places in Latin America and Africa, even in the United States, where the house doesn't have water. The house is one room with 10 people. So for you to say, stay at home, work from home, wash your hands, social distance, that is privilege talk. So if you and I can do it, and everybody that can do it does it, then it's better for those that cannot do it, because you're thinking of them. So no, you're not exaggerating. You are not exaggerating. You are realistic, and it's a good thing, but it's a sad thing, because you see what's around you, and you don't know how to help, right? Because you speak, you reach, you talk, you show, but if the person doesn't want to understand.
Yeah, it seems like a party right now, you know. We have prevailed and everybody says so. So and the borders are still closed, and the officials say that if we keep the borders closed for some time, because we got the coronavirus from Europe, and if we keep Europe closed for now, it will be okay, because we have prevailed, because we have a very good health care, and we're waiting for the vaccine. So people are
I,
very optimistic.
very,
Yes,
very, yeah.
I know
It,
your point of view, your
yeah, it's
reaction.
very, and
Yeah, but
it's,
people here they're very optimistic.
which is good to be optimistic, right? But the problem is, in a global emergency, there has to be a limit between optimism and realism, because optimism can be dangerous. You just spoke about your healthcare system. You said you had a good healthcare system in Russia. Italy has one of the best healthcare systems in the world.
Sure, sure. Of
And
course.
look at Italy. Look what happened to Italy.
It shouldn't be overloaded. Yes, yes, of course. It's not the point that somebody has very good health system. If everybody comes at once, of course, yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm
it
just
just
saying, it's it helps. Of course it helps if it's good, right? Of course it helps. And of course it helps if you are able to keep your borders closed for a while. But if you don't do anything in the country and you just close the borders, and the virus is already in Russia. I mean, the numbers we have say it's there. The pandemic says it's there, because it wouldn't be a pandemic if it wasn't everywhere, right?
of course, of course. And those borders, they're going to be open in some time. I think like around 10 days, but with the former Soviet Union countries
Okay.
like Kyrgyzia, Kazakhstan,
Uzbekistan, okay.
those countries. I don't know the situation here because yes, I'm not sure if we can trust the official sources. I just don't know what's going on there. Some of those countries are very strict autocracies, and that's why it's not always the data it just can be not, let's say, not clean. Perhaps, I'm not sure, but
And
even here in Russia, I mean, yeah, if I can say about the new law that was adopted, especially now was the time. I think it was adopted because of the pandemic and because of coronavirus. And now, being a journalist, I cannot speculate on the figures, on the topics, like whether I trust the official data or I do not. I cannot take some other sources, and I cannot spread it and convey the story like, Laura told me and she has different figures, and her and me, we don't believe your figures, because even if we can prove, we could go to jail. And that's what's happening with journalists now, and we have a problem. I know it's not the topic, so I won't go off topic, but we have real problem with the freedom of speech, I would say, especially if you're a journalist, especially if you print something, or it doesn't matter, broadcast or everything. And if you work in the independent media outlet. So that's a huge problem I cannot check. And now if we're going to talk about the numbers and figures and cases, I have the statistics that everybody has here. That's it. So the official statistics.
And
so yeah,
can you tell us what you have?
I don't know if it looks good, so in comparing to other countries, but we have we have 629 cases plus today, and we have more than 10,000 deaths for the whole period of the pandemic. And we have 604,000 cases, 6,400 cases.
Wait, how many cases in total?
In total, 6,400 cases so basically something close to 7,000 cases in Russia.
For today or forever?
I'm sorry, I have to recheck, okay? Because I'm a bit scared that I say something. I have all those figures here, but I have to check. I have to make it clear. So in Moscow, for today, we're speaking today, in Moscow, we have plus 629 cases.
In Moscow. And in Russia?
Those people are infected. And in Russia, I think it's plus 6,400 cases.
And total cases since the beginning until today?
I have Moscow here. It's 200. Let me check. It was, I'm sorry, I cannot say right now, no, but it's decreasing. Even here, that's for 1 month, you see, it's decreasing. So here I have per day. In July, 17th July, it used to be more than 1,000, above, it was like 1,040, something like that. And today, 600 something. So that's for 1 month that we have.
Yeah, I will tell you the numbers. What? I didn't.
For sure, more than 10,000 deaths.
Yes, and that's what I will tell you what I have. So I use different databases. I use the one of the European one. I use our worldindata.org, and I use Worldometer. I know that some people don't like the Worldometer ones because of the testing, but that's not what I look at. I look at the cases and the deaths. We have to remember that anyways, the different databases have a little differences because of when they update, how much access they have to the different hospitals, to the counties, to the cities, to the country, and to the government data, right? So, but I have, for instance, in the Worldometer today, it says that Russia has a little bit over 694,000 cases, and it has almost 10,500 deaths, and this is total. So, and today it says that Russia had 6,368 new cases.
Yes, it's more or less the same. Yes.
Yeah. So see, there's a lot of similarities, and that is why when we started our conversation, I had asked if you were speaking about how India surpassed, because India is now over, it's 740,000. So it's just accelerating so fast. And before it was always like behind Russia, right? But you told me that unfortunately the coronavirus is not a topic that has been discussed right now that much, right?
Yeah. Much.
It's
not anymore.
Yeah, but I wonder if tomorrow, maybe we should have had our interview tomorrow, because it would be interesting to see what President Putin and what Russia says about President Bolsonaro testing positive.
Or actually, we had our prime minister. He was sick. He was infected with coronavirus, and he was in the hospital for 2.5 weeks. And then, when he came to his office and he said, "I'm totally fine," and people were very excited, and that's when that was one of the first cases and those benchmarks when they said, "Okay, you see, he's fine, so we're gonna be fine," because he's a famous person. And when he got sick, people got scared. But then they say, "Oh, no problem." And then Putin's press secretary, he was wearing some kind of the garlic, he had over here, and journalists asked him, "Why are you wearing that? What's that? That smells." And he said, "That protects me from the coronavirus." It was, well, not just garlic, some kind of thing, like I don't know what's that.
Yeah.
He said, "Well, yes, it protects me. It's some kind of protection." And then he got sick in a week, and everyone was laughing, but then people got scared, so he can get sick. It's not okay, for the elite, because here in Russia, we have people who think that, yes, I can get sick, but not the prime minister, never, not the oligarch, not those people who are privileged and who have access to the best medicine. And then he got fine again. He was working in, yes, I think less than 2 weeks. And that was the second benchmark, and then we had some actors who got okay.
And that's the thing. I was talking today, I had another interview. What? Sorry?
They're not, about the death of those 10,000 people, either they're not famous people or they're not announced who they are. Because it wasn't like that, "Oh my God, that person died. I'm really scared now. I understand that it's very serious." It wasn't like that.
That's exactly that is what I wanted to tell you. Unfortunately, if you're not affected, as in if you don't know somebody or you're not afraid for somebody that you care about, there's this barrier. It becomes not real for you. And like I was telling you today, I had an interview with a young girl from South Africa, and she has a 15-year-old sister that obviously she cares and loves, and she's worried about because she has diabetes. And unfortunately, this disease is worse for people that have pre-existing conditions such as diabetes, but also people that are older. And so she has this young sister, 15-year-old, that suffers from diabetes. So her family needs to be more careful. And she made a very good point that she said, we all need to step away from our bubble, take 3 steps away from our little bubble, and realize that it isn't because it's not affecting your family,
Exactly.
your acquaintances, that it doesn't exist.
Yes.
And that's why when you mention now those 10,000 deaths, that nobody speaks about them, and so it doesn't exist, that is the problem.
You know what? I even have the word for it now. I call it the health discrimination by health discrimination. So there are people who are weaker, and you never know if that person beside you is weaker. You never know. The thing about COVID is that from where from where I sit, you know, I just don't understand. I cannot anticipate how a person will react to the COVID. They are pretty strong and healthy people who are really troubled and who
Yeah.
are very very sick, and they take it bad. They have problems with health,
Yeah.
and there are some people, young people and healthy people who die. So this is like, and there are definitely, yes, what you're talking about. There is this large group of people that are at risk all the time. Those people who are, because I heard here like a 25-year-old pretty healthy man, he comes to me and he says, I don't care, I'm not gonna die. I will be fine, I'm pretty sure. You see, I played basketball every day. And then I ask him, what about your grandmother? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure about her? Are you sure about me? And that man in the plane, you know, from Saudi Arabia, was he sure about me? Because I looked pretty young and healthy, but still I got really badly infected for
And
2 weeks.
also, don't forget, everybody that has a pre-existing condition, they didn't know they had a pre-existing condition from the beginning. There was a moment in time in their life that they did a test or something happened, and then they knew. So how many people have one and don't know about it? So you have those that have it and don't know it. You have those that know it, and then you have older people, and then you have the unlucky people that are perfectly healthy, and for some reason they die from this disease, or they get like a really bad side effects, after effects, because you even said healthy people, right? There's some people that lose their sense of smell and taste, and then they don't get it back, or they still haven't gotten back. Maybe in a year or two they'll get it back, but that means that the disease is touching your brain if you lose your sense of smell. And there's too many things we don't know.
So that's why you have a very good idea that we talk in 2 weeks and we see what's going to happen. Actually, we can talk like you can talk to people in 2 months, you know, 2 years.
Yeah,
It's a
also.
good idea, yeah, to see in dynamics what's going on, what's happening. Because I know I said it, but I will say it once again. If you were in Moscow right now, it looks like a very healthy city that never had experienced a pandemic, never. We'll see.
We will see.
Yeah, in 2 weeks we'll
We will
see.
see.
I hope everybody stays healthy. Really, I do hope.
Of course, that's the hope, but
Prevailed, because President Putin says that we had it's like a miracle case, but not only miracle happened. We were ready and we closed the borders, and we never had a quarantine. Actually, we had those non-working days as they announced. So people just they took it, you know, as holidays. And but then there was information that still you're not working, but you have to stay home. And people said, perhaps that's the quarantine, then perhaps that's when you give us some money. And the government said, oh, no, 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 it's just non-working days, so just enjoy them. Enjoy them like that.
enjoy those days. But now that you started telling me a little bit about these non-working days, maybe you can, and you already mentioned a couple of things, but maybe there's a little bit before we move on to the conversation and we go back to you. Is there something else that you could tell me about what the measures were that your country, so Russia, took to stop the spread? You mentioned these non-working days, you mentioned a couple of different things at the beginning of the conversation, but Is there something else that you'd like to talk about that you can tell us?
Speaking about my country's response, I think it's important to mention about the diverse of the attitudes and not people not meeting their expectations for the first month, because some Russian people, some Russian citizens, they gave up their, I would never say freedom, but some freedoms for the assurance and the firm hand, as they say. They show it like that, and they say our president, he has the firm hand, and that's where they give up some democracy, and they step back with that democracy, and they expect him to make decisions pretty hard, pretty fast, sorry, and to care about people. So in, I think, February and March, those signals were mixed, and people, as I mentioned, they weren't sure what to do. They were looking for this advice from the authorities. And President Putin, what he did, he doesn't usually talk to people via some conferences or something. He talks to journalists, but he doesn't go on TV, and he says, "Hello, nation, we are in like some kind of situation." No, it happened only twice for those 20 years, I think. And we have him for the New Year's party. When we gather for the New Year's, we have champagne, we eat, and he says it was a difficult year, but next one will be much better. And that's like the tradition. And now during those 2 or 3 months, he was talking to the nation for 3-4 times. But the first time, it was people's reaction, they didn't get what they wanted, because he said the pandemic was everywhere, and Russia is, it's not obvious, but Russia is close with Italy, and there are a lot of Russians traveling there, and we all adore Italy and Italian cuisine and Italian cities. We all know the cities, the museums, so we're really in love. Every Russian person, every Russian, he wants to live in Italy when he's retired for his retirement. That's like the nation's dream. And when those things, horrible things, were happening in northern Italy, Russian people, they got really scared, and they even wanted to help, because it was nothing here. Everybody, the pandemic didn't come yet. And the president said something about taxes, something about that we need some new taxes. That's what he said. He said, yes, hello, nation. There is some pandemic over there, maybe not, but we need some new taxes. And he kept going about taxes, that people were, they couldn't take it for real, so they were thinking, why taxes? What do taxes have to do with the situation? But then he began to talk, and he began to show his firm hand, I think. So it came as a surprise, I think, for our government. It was a surprise, and for a long time, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know, it was the time of uncertainty, and they didn't know what to expect and what to do. So we didn't expect that from them, actually. That's why those non-working days, that's why no quarantine, that's why no help for business, no subsidizing for business, or for not enough. Okay, I had an article, I wrote an article, and the figures were like 200 euro per month for a person. That's nothing, actually. That's not much. For Russia is considered to be a rich country, and that's where that was the point where people said, excuse us, are we rich? Is it a rich country? You just tell us, we just want to know. Okay, we'll accept. But here comes the point, this benchmark, where we want to know. Yeah. Is this like €150. Is this all that we can get for the whole period of pandemic, or we are poor or we're rich? So we had those discussions. It was pretty intense those
I can
times.
imagine. But like you said, like we discussed, there we will see what happens next, and not only in the world, obviously in Russia and in Moscow. I assume things are better in Moscow than in the smaller cities.
Yeah, for
Correct?
sure. Yeah, you're right.
So Moscow, St. Petersburg, etc. You're better off, right?
Moscow is definitely.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
it's you said that the borders will be opening maybe around in 10 days, right? Because so far right now, the European Union borders, let's say, so the people that can come into the EU are, well, the UK, they're treated as EU nationals until the end of the year, so they can come in freely. And then there's around 14, 15 countries around the world that are allowed to come in. Russia is not one of them.
We're not welcome, and we're not welcoming.
You're not welcome.
No, no.
You're not welcomed, and but you're not alone, right? You are not welcome. The United States is not welcome. All of the North and South and Central America, except Canada and Uruguay, are not welcome. There's very few countries that are welcomed, actually.
You know, Laura, actually, it's very good news for some Russian tourists actually, not tourists, but for Russian government, because if you will try to book a hotel or even on the Airbnb, some kind of flat or something in the south. I mean Sochi. I also mean Crimea, actually, because when in normal situation, people do not go. A lot of people do not go to Crimea because they're not sure about is it Russian, is it Ukrainian, what is the territory, what is the status, are there any sanctions if I go, will I be allowed to go to United States or UK if I go there? So yes, all those questions. And it was like, yes, it was Russian territory, but not all the people accepted, and especially tourists. But now it's overbooked. It's just overbooked till September.
So
And
Spain.
Sochi, yeah, they're staying, but they're not staying in their houses. They're not staying in their cities. They're still having the vacations. Yes, and it's booked. Everything is booked.
I mean, this is my personal opinion. If I know that the economy is important. I know that most countries in the world, if not all, have suffered economically a lot. I know that. I know it's summer here in Europe, especially, and one of the things is traveling, is tourism. I talk about Italy, I talk about Spain. It's obvious. We all know this. But I also know that the virus doesn't just go away because it's summer. It doesn't go away because you want to go on holiday. It doesn't go away because the sky is blue and the birds are chirping or anything.
So
And
you're saying we haven't prevailed. It's not true.
I'm saying you have not prevailed. So you heard it here.
Okay.
You heard it here. But I am saying that one good thing that, because you just mentioned of the traveling, is that I wish more countries would do, is to stay in your country. If you need to help the economy, if you need to have a vacation, then stay in your country and put the money in your country and go on the vacation, like be in a vacation in your country, because it's safer. If you're a country that is doing well or has done well, let's say Denmark, and you're just traveling in Denmark, then the risk of transmission, the risk of getting infected, of making things worse, is much lower than if a Danish person goes to the UK where things have not very good without a quarantine, and then comes back without a quarantine, and then things get worse, right? So
Sure.
it's but that's my personal opinion, because we have here in Germany people that are traveling. I'm half Italian, and Italy is doing very badly, so they want tourists. They're saying come. Same thing in Spain. In Spain they know that it's going to be bad, but they don't have money right now. They don't have work. They need to eat, so they're like, it's either eat and we know it's going to be bad, or not eat and we don't know what's going to happen because we're not eating. So
I see.
it's difficult.
I see. And Russia is such a huge country, and a lot of people haven't seen lots and lots of places, haven't been to Siberia, haven't been to Baikal, haven't been to Caucasus. So we can spend a couple of years with the inside tourism.
Exactly. And
Traveling here, yeah. We have no problem with the territory
we don't.
and exploring new places here. So
And beautiful places. So I haven't been to Russia, unfortunately, not yet. But my parents have, and I have friends and stuff, and I know it's beautiful and it's big, like you said. So there's many nice places that you can.
lots of possibilities. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, talking about possibilities, which in the end, possibilities are realizations, and that's what I want to talk to you about. You already mentioned a little bit. I assume it was in your flight in January from Saudi Arabia, but
Yeah.
just to know, is it that or not? Or when was it that you realized that the situation was really bad, that this was a pandemic, that it was more serious than what people were saying, than what you thought? Was it a specific moment, or was it different things? Was it in that plane after hearing in news, or when was it?
Actually, here in Russia, we have a gossip that the outbreak might have been earlier, and I know that it's the prerogative of WHO to explore that and to investigate, but still, there definitely was pneumonia. I'm not saying that it was COVID, but November, December, and January, lots and lots and lots of people were sick with viral and bacterial, both pneumonia, and my doctor said that please be careful because it's very difficult to treat that pneumonia now. And I wasn't sick. She just told me, she just said it, because we face it just for the first time, but it's fine. It's not, once again, I'm not talking about COVID. I don't know. Of course, there were no tests back then. I just don't know. And she didn't know. It's just that people were sick, but we get sick every year because once again because we don't care about each other, because we go sick to our offices, because we fly when we're sick, nobody checks the temperature, and it's nobody is mad if you cough, in the shop, in the bus, in the underground, wherever. So I think that I was flying from Cairo from Egypt in January. It was like January 10th. And I was thinking about that. So there were first news, I think perhaps I'm not sure if there were even news, but I was thinking about this situation that so many people I know, they were sick for those 2 or 3 months. And then in 2 weeks, I went to Saudi Arabia and it happened with me. And I was pretty sure that, and once again, I used all the protective gear and it still happened. So I thought, oh wow, there is no protection. So the only protection is these walls. And what I could have overreacted, but I'm happy that I'm healthy for all these months.
Yeah,
Very happy.
exactly. And
But some say, and some people could say that, but you don't have the antibodies. You have to get sick because this is the pandemic. So I don't know. I really don't know.
we
Nobody
need
knows.
to prevent, because also unfortunately there's some studies already, but we are not sure what happens if you get sick and everything's fine. and you recover, can you get sick again? Maybe not that month, not 2 months, not 3 months after, but 4 months later, yeah, maybe. There's too much that we still don't know about. And so it's better not to get sick.
Sure.
Anyways, for anything, I mean, in general, it's better not to get sick. And for a virus that you don't know about, where you spoke about the vaccine earlier, you mentioned the vaccine, and that is something that everybody's hoping that for the first time, the whole world is working on it on one thing. But it takes time. It takes time to do all the necessary research and tests, that it works on animals, and then it works on humans, that it's not only safe but effective, and then there's no side effect, and once you have the perfect vaccine, it takes time to give it to the world, because it's not only about Russia, it's not only about Italy, it's the world.
And it has to be ethical, and people have to share those medical people who are working, the biologists and those people, they have to share. Actually, it would be good if they share.
And then the distribution and all of those things, they're not ready yet. It's not that there's a plan. This is how everybody's talking about it. So the different governments, the different organizations, institutions, they're working towards the plan. So a vaccine, in general, it takes 15, 18 years to make a vaccine, if you ever make a vaccine, right?
I'm not staying here for 50 years.
No. That's not what I'm saying. So in general, that's the normal range, right? But even sure. 18 months, so 1 year, 2 years is what the world is aiming for. Obviously, if it comes sooner, it's better. Who knows when it's going to come? We can't think, oh, there's going to be a vaccine, so I just do whatever. No, protect other people, protect yourself. What you were saying earlier, right?
That's the most important. Yes, after we've been through with this pandemic, I think this avoiding this discrimination and caring about different people, if we want to stay global, because now we do understand that it's a huge change. We are global already, and we are very social, and we cannot stay one by one for a long period of time. A lot of people suffered, even mentally, even they had stress, they've been distressed, really. So we are global, and we have to care. That's the new rule. It's never going to change back. That's very important.
And it's going to be for a long time, has to be for a long time like that, unless everybody decides, forget globalization, every country stays in their little bubble, and we just say hello through Zoom. That's the alternative, very unlikely alternative, and not a good one, right? Throughout our conversation, you have already hinted here and there what your concerns and what your hopes are. But maybe you can just repeat some of them, or add some of it, add some to it. What are your hopes? What are your concerns for Russia, for Moscow, for even personally, for the next days and the next weeks? What is it that, based on what you see in Russia, that you were telling me, the sun is shining, it's a beautiful summer day, people think, there's no virus, knowing that India has surpassed the Russian numbers, knowing that, there's so many things happening in the world, and just knowing the situation of Russia, what is it that you don't want to happen? What is it that you want to happen? Just tell us a little bit about that.
More pretty much the same, that I've mentioned, that if it's not what it seems, for example, we have to talk more, and we have to explore, and we have to discuss. That's why we need this freedom of speech, because people have to express their feelings, not only journalists, not only bloggers, just all people. They shouldn't be scared to discuss. it's okay if somebody says, you know, I don't believe you. I don't believe in the coronavirus, and it's not me who is an idiot, but you, because you've been staying home and cut all your contacts and didn't go to restaurants and wasted and lost all your money. And that's okay, you know, because I have my arguments and I have my history, and I'm available for this discussion. So this is very important. And I think this is mostly Russian problem that we have. We cannot speculate. Even imaginary arguments and imaginary figures can work, because now that people are just, you know, under this impression that the weather is so nice and the barbecue is so tasty, and nothing ever happened and nothing ever is going to. I think that can be a mistake. It's more about talking. It's more about feeling free to discuss.
And looking outside of your bubble, outside of Moscow, outside of Russia, outside of Asia, outside of, you know, that side of the world, because everybody's going through the same thing. So have a look at how things are in your neighboring countries, but also in Italy that you love, or, you know, in, I don't know, Uruguay that you don't know, or any country, Canada, India, the United States, any country. Look at what they're doing, what is working, what's not working. And like you said, it's communication. And with communication comes knowledge. And with knowledge is what defeats anything that is bad. And this virus is bad, right? So,
Yes, it is. And we have to stay together.
yeah, exactly. Last question. Now it's more about you, okay?
Yeah.
We've spoken about many things. We've spoken about the situation in Russia right now. You've told me about the measures that your government has taken in order to prevent the spread. You've told me how this has affected your life, also your work, what you had to stop doing or start doing. And we have spoken about also your hopes and your concerns for your country. But now I just want to know if you could speak to Julia, to the Julia that is going to be here in 14 days, so in 2 weeks, and you could tell her anything, anything at all, what message would you give her?
Okay, Laura, you will not support this one, but I'll stick to it. We had, as I mentioned, I was raised in Malta and it's an island. I was swimming like since forever. And those months during the lockdown, yes, I can call it the lockdown, my sport club and my lab pool, it was closed. So it opened 2 weeks ago, and all this time I was hesitating, you know. So I'm not sure, because you cannot wear a mask in the swimming pool. Some people say that the virus doesn't spread there, but no one is sure. So I started swimming today. I was waiting for this interview to start swimming because, well, I wanted to, and everything is so nice and calm. And once again, it seems so perfect, and it seems like I have my life back, you know. So I started swimming, and I'll tell you in 14 days how is it? How is it going? How are people there in the sports club? And I hope that I will be very healthy still, you know. But yeah, I know that I'm risking, but I'm willing to take. I can't say to take a chance, but once again, it seems normal. It seems right thing to do now, to just try to live your life a little bit, you know, come out of this cave just to glaze, and then I promise I'll get back if something is not okay.
Just for the swimming. But
Just
so does this, but if you could speak to yourself, so not tell me, but really talk to you, what would you tell her?
in 14 days.
Yeah, to the future Julia. So to the Julia that's 14 days older.
Right now, perhaps I would say, uh, it's changing. Perhaps we are getting better. So uh, I won't say that it's over, but try to go out there a little bit and try to visit your grandfather, for example. He's 81 and I love him so much. And during the lockdown, he was the one who told me, please don't visit me because I'm not afraid of you um, carrying this virus and bringing it to my house. I'm afraid that I can give it to you. So I would love to hug him. And once I met him, I just like we kept the distance. He said it would be 5 meters because he cares so much. And I was the one. I was at home, and he was the one. He was very active, still jogging and walking in the park and shopping and drinking wine. And he said no, 5 meters. So I would say, okay, if you want to hug him that much, maybe now you can. Maybe it's the right time now to do those things that you missed, but like swimming, like talking to people that you love in person. And I just don't know if it's the right thing to do. So right now I'm saying, okay, go for it. Try. Why not? Go for it. But we'll see in 14 days, was it the right thing to do? Because it's what everybody does. And we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. But Julia, don't forget, I think you are forgetting, you started your story telling us what you were doing in January that nobody was doing in Russia. So you called your manicure and said, "Hey, I'm not coming." You were in the plane thinking of what was happening and saying, "Oh, there's something weird." So you were already doing things that other people were not doing. So now that people think everything's fine and nothing happened, you can also do differently.
I know. I'm just not sure now. It really seems that there is a chance.
It's
So I'll try. I'll see.
you
Well,
have to
but
do.
believe me, I'm the last one to stay at home, actually, to self-isolate, as we call it. I'm the last one here. I was the first one, and now I'm the last one.
Yeah, yeah. And we will see, like you said, we will see. We hope for the best. We always hope for the best. But we have to be cautious, and we will see what happens, right? And I will see you in 14 days.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you. It was a pleasure actually discussing all those things. Thanks a lot.
It was my pleasure hearing them. So thank you very much. And I will see you in 14 days.
See you in 14 days.
Bye.